This is Star Wars Outlaws. We're here on the Nintendo Switch 2. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So this is really interesting because this is a big, fancy, open world Ubisoft Star Wars game available on the Nintendo Switch 2, which is quite exciting in the sense that we get to actually see what this console can do when it comes to providing a open world, and one that's usually as, I guess you would say, scaled as Ubisoft games usually are. Wait, you weren't coming after me? I could have gotten away? Ah, that's rough. Anyways, I thought I was wanted. Yeah, so it's really cool to see a game of this scope and the size available and running on the Switch 2, which is, you know, kind of like on the big TV, it's not super impressive. I mean, you can definitely see that they had to scale back. Like, this is a game that was quite demanding, even on the other consoles, other platforms. And you could definitely tell it was like, yeah, sure, they've scaled back density of, like, say, the NPCs in the environment, and the scale of, like, everything rendering in, and resolution on everything's lower, and, you got a lower frame rate, but, like, it's the full game. And this is something in theory, you could just, well, not in theory, in actuality, I could just, like, plop these Joy-Cons on the Switch 2, pick it up, and I could just, I could just go out. And it's kind of amazing, because you could take the full experience of Star Wars Outlaws out on the go, and it's not bad. Like, it's actually kind of impressive, I dare say. So, we're going to be diving in and talking about this experience. It's something I've played, I think, on every platform. It's... Whoa! Where did you come from? Yeah, I've played it on Xbox, I've played it on PlayStation, I've been eliminated. No, I've tested out this game across multiple different platforms. It's just really interesting to see it here on the Switch, because it is actually a kind of impressive, like genuinely impressive effort that they were able to achieve with this. Now, there are, of course, drawbacks, like I mentioned, the technical elements, but it's good I died there, because you can also see the game is really slow to load, like, genuinely slow loading. I could see that maybe being a bit more of a problem for the Switch 2 than maybe some sort of expected, because it would be like, oh, you're kind of thinking of it being current gen, but yeah, definitely some slower loading, which is going to be maybe annoying for some. It depends on the situations and where you're loading in, and of course, and everything like that. But yeah, it's quite interesting, because it's like, yeah, there's slower loading, but at the same time, like I said, you get the full scope of the world, right? Like, we're driving around. This is kind of like the main... I would say this is kind of the main world. I think that's a fair kind of assumption to make, is this is kind of like the fair world status that you would use as an indicator to take a look at this game and how it's running. And yeah, genuinely, it's interesting. So here's we're going to take a look, just kind of the NPCs, because if you played this on other platforms, you'll see, like, the town here. It's still got some, but it's definitely, a lot more of a ghostly, quiet town, as to say, which is kind of funny. But it is impressive, like, the content, the world, the cutscenes, the cinematics, the experience. It's all here. Like, the whole game is here, it's ready to go. All the missions, it's got cross-progression, so, like, I was able to pull out my save and easily jump in and take a look at everything. And, like, it's really not bad. Like, it is actually kind of impressive, which I know you'll probably be looking at this and be like, oh, wow, technically and stuff like that, it's kind of like, so. But, like, no, they did about as good. That happens every time. They did about as good as I could have ever imagined, and maybe even more some for the Switch 2 version of this. I mean, I'd love to come in here and be like, oh, this is like a mind-blowing technical, kind of achievement, but, like, honestly, gets the job done. So, what are we getting here? It's an output at 1080p, but really it's running at, like, 600-ish p. But, like, it's everything is, like, a scaled sort of solution that they've come up with for this, and it is 30 FPS, but it does seem to be a pretty like locked 30 FPS from what I've experienced when playing this. So it does seem like usually when you're in the big open world here, this is kind of like the more demanding aspect of the experience, especially if you're like shooting and flying and everything like that. And no, it's all running pretty good, which is, you know, quite awesome that they were able to do that. Just to show off technical stuff, you know, displaying graphics, you can just kind of change the brightness, cinematic mode, filled screen, or we could do 21:9, film grain on or off. So, you know, you could play the game in like sort of the cinematic wider screen. I don't know, when I play, like, it's actually cool that they included this, because like technically it's like it's more picture, as to say, and you know, that kind of makes it even more demanding to kind of do stuff. But like, you can play this from the perspective of being like, hey, you know, I want to see, you know, the wider, more cinematic image. But like, I'm playing a video game, so I'm more interested in seeing, you know, the full screen. But you know, you do you, of course. That's why they give you options, which is kind of nice, and then you can have a cinematic lens if you want, you know, that sort of aesthetic going on, and then yeah, the film grain. And anything else I need to show off for gameplay settings? Not really. There's lots of like accessibility stuff in case this game is too hard for you, but it's really not too bad for difficulty, honestly. Like, I don't think you'll have too much issue kind of going around. I kind of wanted to build up my attack ability thing, so I could do more damage, but whatever. Anyway, so that's the technical stuff, and it's like, yeah, you know, it'd be nice to have a higher frame rate mode, whatever. But if this is kind of like, if this is what they're doing with the Switch 2 stuff, I think the potential this gen to actually have some really impressive open world games on the Switch 2 is genuinely there, which is exciting, because it's really cool that you could take, you know, say I'm playing this on another platform, I don't know, maybe you've got money to buy things on multiple platforms, I don't know. Let's just say you are. And it's just kind of cool, because you could be like, okay, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm playing this on, say, my PlayStation 5 Pro, I gotta go and do something, but like, you know, it's not something where it's like I really need to be caring about what I'm doing, and I could just play this game and continue my save, and then I can go home and I can continue it on the, you know, the Pro again, and it's really cool that this is an option here. You need to like flank him there, buddy, so that you know, I can get like behind him and kill this guy. Thanks, buddy. You're the best. That's why we got our cute little critter here. Just to tell the story, I got flown across the country to go and do to interview Humberly here, who's the actress. Got bumped by somebody, which kind of sucked because they mentioned that, you know, it's a huge inconvenience for them to drive back the next day. It was like 10 minutes away. But anyways, yeah, I was helping the PR people with the vending machine where they were handing out little plushies of this cute, adorable guy. And I was supposed to get one because I helped them fix it. And, yeah, no, they shafted me on that. And, yeah, they gave them all out. I really missed out on that, you know, flight. I mean, it was cool to see the offices and everything and do all the Wars Outlaws stuff. But, man, I really, you know, there's a whole flight across the country to do that stuff. It just kind of didn't really work out for me the best, did it? No siree. Anyways, yeah. So, the game itself, like, could you stop moving, please? it's just slightly getting ahead of me. Okay, well that is kind of annoying. The map's actually pretty fluid. So where's my ship? So I'm like, we should probably, if we can, show off a different area. Yeah, so the game has a mix of going through these large open world areas, and then it has the option to kind of do like space sequences. Like there's a few areas, like basically if you played, what is that game called? There's like a game that they created that was like a Toys to Whatever game many years ago, and it didn't really take off. But basically, they took that gameplay formula for, um, play, and they kind of like put it in here for ship stuff. So you can, there's like ship battles, and there's like things you go out in space and do, which is kind of cool. But the story, you basically you're an outlaw. No, you're Kay Vess, you're someone that's had a lot of issues. There's a big heist that's supposed to be a big moment for you, and things, of course, go wrong, stuff happens, and you're kind of dealing with different factions. And then, of course, meeting different characters, doing different story stuff. You got ND5 here. The game's got a neat faction system, but I kind of wish they would have leaned into the faction system a little bit more from a narrative standpoint. But, it's your very typical Star Wars tale. When I played it initially, I was kind of like, I was sort of going through the motions playing it, but it's okay. Like, it's not bad. It's kind of fun at times. It's got a neat vibe to it, a gorgeous art direction. Like, this is, it's genuinely something interesting, this game. Like, I think you could have some fun playing it. I think you could find it kind of intriguing if you're a Star Wars fan. You're basically like a femme solo kind of character going around, and you kind of like blast things. There's stealth missions that work for the most part. Like, they've done a lot of updates and fixes to this game over time to make it better. I'm assuming this is largely going to be a one-off, though, just due to popularity and everything like that, which I guess to some degree is kind of a shame, because it would have been cool to it would have been cool to, I guess you would say, kind of see where this would expand and go further, because like the universe is kind of neat, but you do sort of the same sort of Star Wars things, hit the same sort of Star Wars vibes. I don't know. They always also call it the first ever open world Star Wars game, which I just feel isn't true, because there's galaxies, which was a thing, and yeah. Anyways, distinct locations across the galaxy, or scoundrel. There's like the game's got like a gambling kind of card tablets system, little mini game inside of it, which is kind of neat if you're into that. You got your little trusty sidekick Nix, which is an adorable little critter that helps you solve puzzles and do some quick little things, can distract enemies for you. You're basically going around just blasting guys and fighting with the syndicates. It's like a different look at Star Wars than what you might be familiar with. Like, it's basically like the underground sort of take on Star Wars, where it's like you get to see a non-Jedi, non-Force sensitive perspective, which I think is good, that there's, explored different parts of Star Wars outside of just being Jedi and that, and it's kind of cool that this exists as it does. It really is. Like, it's genuinely interesting that you have this Star Wars adventure here and you can play it. And like, the main narrative is fine. It's fun, it's engaging. There's a good amount of content to it. And as I said, they fixed a lot of the issues that I kind of had with this. Like, when it came out, like, there were, some problems in that, but they have actually, went and fixed things up and updated things and improved stuff, and you get these cool blaster fights and everything kind of... It just works well. Like, you get to see the world of Star Wars from a different kind of perspective, and one that's got like a cool vibe. I thought you could pet these things. Am I crazy? Oh, look, he's just hauling. He's just getting in the way. What's the issue, buddy? Bantha, no. Do I smell? Oh, I'm a smell or something like that. It's weird that the Bantha would run away like that. It's like, okay, kind of hurts my feelings. Just gonna throw it out there. But yeah, no, it's a universe where the different places you go and the different things that you see kind of all have different like activities. So you could do like, main kind of missions, or you can zoom out to the main planet, or you can go around and there's like different faction areas on each of the different planets. So you can be like, oh, the Empire's got the strength here, or the Syndicates the Pike Syndicate's on this place. Or there might be like a collectible you find, or some kind of hidden secret, or there might be, you know, different cartels that you can interact with, the different characters you can meet along the way. It's all quite interesting, honestly. Like, if you've wanted to see Star Wars from that setup, you know, it's kind of cool. You get to see some iconic things, get into a little bit of trouble, visit a few different places, blast some enemies, and you kind of like, you build up a bit of a, well, you build up a reputation with the different areas. But, you know, you build yourself up as a bit of a fighter, and you go and you do these sort of challenge things, I guess you would say. Like, it's kind of a hard way to describe it, but you'll basically be like, you know, zooming around, and then you get build up a sort of target thing, and then you can like auto lock on people and go bang, 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 and kind of blast them, and you're kind of rolling around, shooting things, smashing stuff, and yeah, it just all plays out as a pretty interesting sort of like Star Wars adventure, I guess you would say, and then to see all of this here on the Switch is very, very cool. Like, I don't, like, it's not necessarily the most mind-blowing of Star Wars games, but, you know, it gets the job done, and it's, like I said, on the Switch, too, it's quite marvelous, like, the full scale here, all the different geometry, all the different, like, places, all the different missions, all the different enemies, the strange characters you meet along the way, the troopers you get to fight, it's... You know, it's pretty cool. Like, they do a good job kind of provide, like, creating the world of Star Wars. And also, like, Ubisoft really does, you know, I think nail the vibe of Star Wars. That's one of the things where it's like, yes, some elements of this could have been maybe a bit better here or there, but, like, when you look at the detail and everything like that, like, they really have just nailed the vibe and the aesthetic of Star Wars. Like, this, you know, this is Tatooine. I'm tired of going to Tatooine, but, like, you know, 100%, like, this is Tatooine through and through, and you get to experience that and be this, like, outlaw person that's kind of, you know, dealing with all the stormtroopers and stuff, and going around and being this scoundrel of a character. She's kind of fun. She's got, like, a nice personality and everything like that. I'm gonna build up my my strength thing without dying. Usually they chase you a bit and then you can like unleash it. There we go. Then we can tag. Oh. Yeah, it did. So that's just kind of like the cool mechanic I was talking about earlier, where it's sort of this build-up of a heroic thing, and you know, it's adorable too, because you got your little companion buddy, and you're doing all this stuff. I think they nailed this, honestly, as this port. I would love to see them take a crack at like high frame rate mode, but I think the resolution would be suffering way too much to be kind of visible, but like the clarity here is good, the level of detail is fine. I mean, we're on Tatooine, so it doesn't really matter as much, like, because it's Tatooine. But like earlier too, you were seeing like a main planet, and you were kind of taking that in, and I think you get an idea of like what this is doing and what this is providing for the Switch too. I'm quite happy with this. I'm hoping we get to see additional Ubisoft titles of this kind of gen moved over to Switch 2, just to kind of get an idea of like more of like what they can do with it, because this is clearly kind of an impressive offering. Like there is a lot to enjoy in this galaxy far, far away, and a few different places to go, and a few different things to see. And yeah, I'm really curious to see where this kind of takes people, and if they enjoy what this experience is, and the fact that you can take this on the go is so cool. And yeah, I think in general they kind of nailed this and got the Star Wars vibe perfectly down, and Yeah, the story is fine and it's adequate. And I think with the fixes they've done, it's a much, much better sort of situation. I think you can have a good time in a galaxy far, far away.